Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the UNathletic podcast with yours truly. Thank you once again for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any content from this podcast. On today, I'm going to talk some more finals games. I'm going to talk game 2, game 3, and game 4, which is on Friday. I'm going to just kind of give you a quick synopsis on that. And then I also want to address one thing that's been on my mind, but that's the little teaser y'all gonna get. But let's get into the finals, right? Boston and the Golden State Warriors. Boston is now officially up in the series 2-1, much to my chagrin. In game 2, just to give a real quick recap on that, the Golden State Warriors came out and they met Boston with a lot of force. I know a lot of people have been talking about a lot of the shenanigans from Draymond Green in game 2, when he quote unquote tackled Grant Williams, and just a lot of the troubles he got into, a lot of the small scuffles he got into with a Jaylen Brown and Grant Williams. And he got in Boston's head, if we're being honest about it. He got in their heads. He got them off of their game and made them lose focus on the goal, which was to win the game. And the Warriors came out and did what they had to do and played played relatively well defensively, actually, in my own opinion. I don't think they played that great defensively. I think there were a lot of undisciplined things that happened in that game, but they did win out. And then game 3 back in Boston, essentially what happened was exactly what I expected to happen, which is Boston came home and they punched the Warriors in the mouth, and the Warriors never fully recovered. They battled back and forth to try to squeeze in and try to get back, and they at one point in time did have a 2-point lead, but they never completed the comeback and they lost the game. Now I know media-wise and even on Twitter and other spaces and things of that nature, a lot of people want to blame Draymond Green for the loss because he did not play that great, which is true. He did not. Draymond played terribly. In his own words, he played like ish. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I don't place sole blame on Draymond Green. I don't think he's the only one at fault here. I believe that it's not only the fact that Draymond was unimpressive and was essentially irrelevant as far as on the offensive end as well as the defensive end, but I also blame Steve Kerr. His defensive strategy, in my opinion, in my very humble opinion, was terrible. I also saw the Warriors being undisciplined on defense. Guys were constantly leaving their feet. I saw multiple times where Andrew Wiggins was guarding Jason Tatum, and he fell for every single pump fake he threw at him. And that's, in my opinion, I think that's something that you just don't do. And I figured from what I saw when he played against Dallas and playing against a more craftier offensive player in Luka Doncic, and the fact that Wiggins would stay planted, I thought that would be something I would see more of against Boston, but I have not seen it. And so I think what's become problematic is the fact that the Warriors have been running a lot of zone, and Kerr has kind of stuck to his laurels, which, again, in my opinion, is ineffective. I don't think it's been the best decision. I think that he's needed to switch things up, and he has not. Steve Kerr has seemed to be very rigid. He's made adjustments, mind you, but there've been matchup adjustments as opposed to making strategic overall adjustments and schematic adjustments. And I think that for me is a bigger issue. I also think that part of the issue too is that although Klay Thompson got going in game 3, I think it's problematic that Andrew Wiggins has now been more involved in the offense. I also think that the bench there has to be a better rotation there. I think Steve Kerr has to throw away the same old thing, and he just has to try some new things. He has to have a willingness to try some new things. I've heard a lot of people say put Kuminga out there, put Moody out there. I'm not the biggest proponent of that, although I do believe that it could help to some degree, but I also think it would hurt a lot, especially on the defensive end. Moody is a more, I guess you could say, seasoned player in the sense of his IQ and maturity of the game is higher than Kuminga's. Kuminga is still a relatively raw prospect. And so I understand a lot of people yearning and calling for Steve Kerr to play Moody. And I do believe he'd be instrumental in spot minutes, but I'm not sure how much of an impact he'd really have on the game overall as far as it attributes to winning. And as far as Kuminga is concerned, I get it on the offensive end. But again, I believe defensively, Kuminga would get abused severely to the point to where Kerr would have to pull him immediately. And he would have an incredibly short leash on Jonathan Kuminga. I believe that what the Warriors have to do, specifically offensively, number one is run more pick and roll. The pick and roll has been successful against Boston. I understand that in game 3, when Rob Williams was involved in pick and roll, he did not go into drop coverage, which is basically giving Steph space. He did not. He would fall back instead of coming up to meet Steph, and so I do understand that aspect of it, and I think that is going to be something that the Warriors are going to have to figure out how they're going to have to deal with that when it comes to Rob Williams. But I think that if you run pick and roll and get Al Horford involved, Al Horford drops back. And that has been effective. I also think that Kerr needs to empower Wiggins to attack more, because I believe that Andrew Wiggins is one of the few guys on the team that is actually uniquely fit to challenge Boston as far as with his athleticism and his ability to create his own shot. I believe that Klay Thompson has to be put in a bit of a Ray Allen role. And when I say that, I mean that he needs to be coming off of screens, catch and shoot. I don't want Klay Thompson trying to create his own offense, because I think that benefits the defense as opposed to benefiting the Warriors. I think it works more so to Boston's advantage as opposed to working to the Warriors' benefit. I think also Steph is going to have to take more and more opportunities to just score. I really do. I think Steph has to be extremely aggressive, which is something that's not the norm for Steph. Steph likes to share the ball. He's a selfless player, and I understand that. And I actually am not, I don't have a problem with it per se, but I absolutely do believe that Steph needs to be more aggressive. And as far as Jordan Poole is concerned, let me also say this to my fellow Golden State Warriors fans. Look, we've always known that Jordan Poole is a terrible defender. He's been a terrible defender since game 1 of the regular season to now what's about to be game 4 of the NBA Finals. At no point in time has he shown that he is a good or even average defender. He is a very poor defender, and I believe that is something that he will work on with his trainer during the offseason. But what I do believe that the Warriors can get from Poole is for Poole to be more deliberate and for Poole to not play around with the basketball, because this Boston team has defenders who are capable of making it very difficult for him, and who will stay in front of him and who will track him. So I believe what Jordan Poole has to do is either pass or attack, pass or shoot. It can't be too much of this trying to cross hezzy tween, none of that. It can't be any of that. It has to be deliberate. He needs to be deliberate in whatever move he's going to make. No hesitations. And if you see that there is nothing available, you give up the ball and you look for another opportunity. Those are some of my biggest keys. As far as defensively, I think what must happen is the Warriors are going to have to stay home on shooters. I think that they're going to have to do a lot of hard shows, and they're going to have to help out when guys are being overmatched. I don't think that the whole entire defense has to collapse on Boston. I think there's a way that you could be effective in either doing double teams or even piling on the strong side, not so much on the weak side. You want to keep somebody there to maintain on a shooter so that there's no open shot in the corner. And thus far, like I said, this entire series has gone exactly as I expected, because I was a firm believer that Boston and Golden State are pretty evenly matched. Both teams have great starting lineups. The Celtics bench is better than I expected them to be, and the Warriors bench has produced in this series. Gary Payton II has played well in game 2. Otto Porter Jr. has played well in a couple of games, or at least relatively. So I believe what has to happen now is, again, Steve Kerr needs to be more fluid with his offense, and he also needs to be more fluid in his strategy and willingness to just divert from the norm. I also think that Steph needs to be a little more aggressive in attacking. I think that Klay Thompson needs to be in a Ray Allen type role. And I think that Andrew Wiggins needs to be empowered to attack more on the offensive end, especially if he has switches or he has Al Horford on him. And even against Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I believe that Andrew Wiggins is skilled enough that he could create for himself and find opportunities. And if not find opportunities, he could also get to the line. Those are my thoughts thus far. I do believe that in game 4, the Warriors will win. I believe that they're going to win that game because this has been a back and forth, and I think it will continue that pattern in game 4 in Boston. So those are my thoughts on that. Now, I just want to address something that's kind of been on my mind, and that's been going on for entirely too long. And that is Brittney Griner still being detained wrongfully in Russia. Now, from what I understand, part of the reason why she is still there is because America and Russia Russia has offered a deal to America. And this is speculative. Let me preface that and say this because I don't know this for sure. This is what I was told about the story. But speculatively speaking, allegedly, the reason Russia wants to do a prisoner exchange. Russia wants America to give them a known mass murderer in exchange for Brittney Griner. That is what Russia wants in order for America to get Brittney Griner back. Now, Brittney Griner has been in Russia, wrongfully detained for over 100 days. It's been well over 100 days now. There are many who question the validity of the reasons why she is being detained. A lot of people are skeptical about the supposed marijuana product that was found on her. Many are skeptical of the idea that Brittney Griner, who has been playing overseas for more than just this season, she's been doing it for a while, that all of a sudden this one time that she goes to the country, that she happens to bring back something with her that she, more likely than not, knows full well she cannot take through Russia's airport. And so all I say is that I hope and pray that Brittney Griner comes home soon. My prayers and thoughts are with her wife and her family. And I hope that eventually the government will do the right thing and bring Brittney Griner home. I hope that whatever needs to be done gets done. And I echo the sentiments of those who believe that had this been a male athlete, had this been any other superstar in any other league, that this would have been handled much more expeditiously. This whole process would have been expedited and handled immediately. I do believe that part of the problem is some of the things that are going on in Russia as far as the fact that they're invading Ukraine and that the US and Russia are not on the best of terms. But again, I hope and pray that Brittney Griner comes home soon. I hope that she's able to reunite with her family and she will be able to restart her career in the WNBA, because at this point it's utterly ridiculous. And I just, again, from me, CJ at the UNathletic podcast, Brittney, I hope that you are safe. I hope that you are okay. I hope that you are mentally okay. I hope that you are physically okay. I hope that you are spiritually okay, and emotionally as well. I hope that you find solace, and I hope that you have faith that you will come home soon. It's unfortunate. The situation itself it's just sad. Honestly, it's just to the point now where, we're just waiting on the possibility that she makes it home, waiting on the government to step in and do what needs to be done. We shall see. But again, it's unfortunate, and I just wish for the best, and I hope that America will bring Brittney home. Just want to say thank you again for tuning in, everybody. I did not make this a long episode, but that's because you've heard enough talk about the finals, and yes, I've given my thoughts. Again, just, all I ask is that y'all continue to check me out, like, share, and subscribe to the video. Like and share the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also follow me on social media at CJ the UNathletic. I am always constantly in spaces on Twitter. You can catch me there, where I do give my thoughts and analysis on games and different subjects as far as the NBA rumors and NBA offseason stuff, and even the NBA draft, which is coming in about 2 weeks. But again, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the UNathletic podcast. Once again, please like and share the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, hit that notification button so you don't miss out on any content from the podcast. Please, again, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at CJ the UNathletic. And just so you guys know, for my Instagram page, I will be using that for clips, and I will use it for occasional reactions and post-game reaction, pre-game analysis. I also, in the event that the Golden State Warriors win the championship, I will go to the parade, and I will be posting moments from the parade on my Instagram at CJ the UNathletic. So please go follow me on Instagram, on Twitter. I am a great follow on Twitter, by the way, at CJ the UNathletic. That's, again, CJ TheUNathletic. Letic, CJ the UNathletic on Instagram and on Twitter. And again, please like, share, subscribe, even comment. I will be responding to comments. I always try to get to you all. Anybody who has any thoughts on what I have to say, or whether you want to criticize it, challenge it, whatever it is, I do like to respond. So please like, share, and subscribe so we can grow this thing, because I do it because it's fun. I do it because I love it. And I do it because I want you all to hear what I have to say, and because I want people to know that fans know what they're talking about. I am a fan, and I do know what I'm talking about. I've actually been proven right throughout this entire series. And you can ask people on Twitter. I've literally been proven right throughout this entire series, and it's been beautiful because I've been validated by what I've been saying. And a lot of people enjoy what I have to say, especially on Twitter. So tune in on Twitter as well. I do host spaces, and I do jump in on different spaces as well. But thanks again for tuning in, everyone. I will catch you next week. Peace.